How small is too small? How big is too big? Whether you're shopping for your first foil board or looking to add to the quiver, watch this quick video for some tips and tricks on sizing and volume. Of course, if you can, please click that like and subscribe button. Helps a lot. Jonathan from Epic Board Sports in Cocoa Beach here with a quick video about volume. Whether you're starting out and you're looking for tips on how to buy that first board and what size to get, or whether you're looking for some advice on how small to go when you size down, please watch this quick video. And of course, if you have comments, leave them in the comment section below. As far as sizing goes, when you're picking your first wing board, there's obviously a lot to consider. Not the least of which is where you ride, the water temperature, how rough the water is, your own personal issues, mobility restrictions, fitness level, all of those things we think really come into play when you're picking that first board. The longer that you're able to stay out and safely ride and get fatigued less, the safer you're going to be, the happier you're going to be, the quicker you're going to progress. So we usually advise people to err on the side of caution and go a little bit bigger than they even think they need. It just is going to help make that learning curve that much faster. So for somebody that might be, let's say, an 85 kilogram rider, if you're just starting out in rough water, cold water, that kind of thing, and you're not overly athletic, those sort of things, you might be looking at a board in that 120, 125 liter range. It wouldn't be a bad place to start sizing. Other things that really help impact the speed of learning for a beginner is the primary stability. We use the same metric in SUP. The width of the board is going to impact the stability of the board more than the length. For rough water, for older people, you might go a little bit wider. And there's shapes out there of the same volume that are shorter and wider, and that might be a good place to start. Don't let length be the end-all be-all factor. Some people out there will tell you that you want the shortest board in the highest volume that you can, and I just don't think that's true. As far as picking that first board, I'd say set your volume and figure out what volume you think works for you and what volume is you need to float for sure, and make sure to include a wetsuit if you're going to be riding in colder water. That wetted wetsuit weight is also needs to be factored into your volume. Similarly, if you're riding in fresh water does not have the buoyancy of salt water. So you're going to have to add a little bit. We would caution you from buying a board that's too small. Many people out there will try to tell you you want to find this magical size and volume that somehow you're going to keep for several years, and we just don't think that exists. A much better strategy is to buy and learn safely and easily and plan to either resell it or keep it as a light wind board, a board for friends and family, maybe a board for rougher conditions, however you want to look at it. But if you buy a board that's too small when you're starting out, you'll never even be able to stand up to try to learn to wing because you'll just be frustrated, wet, tired. For those of you that already know how to wingfoil, you might be wondering, do I need to size down? Why would I consider sizing down? How much do I size down? Hopefully we can answer all of those questions real fast for you. I was one of those that said, there's no reason to size down. If you're having fun, just keep having fun. What I found myself as I've sized down and kind of been forced to at dealer meetings and things like that is the smaller boards are definitely more fun. They're easier to pump, they're easier to carve, they're easier to travel with. There's plenty of reasons why you would size down. And so what we would typically say is for those that come into the shop and they say that they can confidently do everything, it might be time for you to start looking to size down. You'll unlock a lot of performance and probably even stuff that you didn't know you were capable of once you push yourself back into being a little uncomfortable. And yes, remember, with a lot of these changes, you're probably going to get worse before you get better. But some of the things to consider when sizing down is how much. Many people will tell you about 20 liters at a time is a good place to start. So if you're already on a 105 liter board, maybe going down to an 85 liter board would be a good place to make that jump. Obviously, if you knew learning was more difficult when you learned, or you're in a cold season or a non-windy season, maybe you don't make as big of a jump at the start, but those are all personal preferences. Certainly if you have a foil drive or wake foil, you can get a lot of practice on a smaller board without the wing that might speed things up. If you're making other changes like sizing the foil down too, you might want to back off and not be as aggressive with the board size. Other factors include salt water, because salt water has more buoyancy than fresh. So where you're riding, the time of year you're riding, all of those things are factors that I would say come into play when picking that board to size down to. But certainly 20 liters is a good place to start. just know that the more aggressive you make that change, the probably the more difficult the learning curve will be on your new board. For those of you looking to size down and have experience with other foil sports, it certainly makes it easier to size down more aggressively. So if you're a kite foiler, if you have a foil drive, you regularly go behind a boat, all of these things might lend themselves to being more aggressive with that volume reduction at your next purchase versus somebody that is maybe a 1 or 2 time a week wing foiler. You might want to be a little bit more conservative. As you size down, what you might find is that you'll have to relearn some common skills. Everything from starting and the way that you used to start. Maybe you had a big board to learn and you were able to stand on the board and pick the wing up while standing versus your knees versus the stink bug. It might require a little bit different technique to get going on a smaller volume board. However, just like those early skills that you learned in your first lesson, you'll likely learn those in time and be just as comfortable with your new ways to get up. Okay, so as we start looking at shape of these boards, and they're all pretty similar in volume, this is what I would just call kind of like an all-arounder board for an intermediate or expert level rider. It's the starboard takeoff. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to look at. Some of the things that I think make the starboard takeoff different, I don't know if we can pick it up on video, but they have reduced the volume and kind of scooped out the standing area, which puts your foot closer to the foil. By doing that, you have better control over the foil. You've got a little tail kick pad, surf pad to really get back. If you like surfing, you like to really kind of carve, those kind of things in shape make a difference as well as volume. As we flip it over and kind of look at it, you see some of the differences in the shape on the underside. And again, these things all look the same when you're looking at them on a catalog page. When you really get into a store and look three-dimensionally, they look so radically different. But notice how they cut away the tail here. So all about getting water to release. So whether you touch down or you're taking off, water exiting and kind of being able to rock it onto foil really quick. That's what that's all about. You see two huge foil boxes with just a ton of space to move the foil backwards and forwards. So that's really nice. And then on starboard's boards, it's pretty easy to see the carbon stringer. Okay, so next up is the AK Phaser. Well, what's different about this? All similar in volume again. This board's very flat, has a pulled-in nose, more like a surfboard, and so will definitely help kind of catch a wave, more for that free ride or surf crowd. A really easy board to size down too. I find it extremely forgiving. This is actually a used one. This is my demo. I have 2. And it is a board that you can progress to almost instantly overnight. Different kind of rail shape, of course. And as we flip it over and kind of look, again, more that wave shape. So cut away to give you space for the wave. Also kind of probably helps kind of rock it up onto foil. And just overall, just a really interesting, great shape. Again, similar volume. Lastly, we take a look at the current model of the Starboard Ace foil. Again, 7 feet, similar in volume, 100 liters, radically longer. Really not a board that we'd say we're sizing down to, of course. But if the goal of watching the video about what that next board is to buy, I think you have to ask the question of, are you really looking to progress and ride more aggressively, or are you looking to open up more days? A board like the Ace foil can unlock a ton of extra days because it gets going in so much less wind. We have this board in demo as well. I can ride a wing that's a size or size and a half smaller than everybody on the water, even as a bigger guy, and still easily get going on foil. They're a blast. If you haven't tried one, I highly recommend demoing one. Flipping it over, you kind of can see, some of what probably makes the magic happen. Again, of course, 3-dimensional shape. You've kind of got like this V-shaped hold nose, kind of like some of their race boards, which is just going to kind of get it gliding and going. And of course, very narrow. This board is pretty easy to see. Carbon reinforced foil boxes, carbon stringer down the center, just like all their carbon boards. Real high-end stuff, real value too. Hey, online research is great. We're huge fans of it, and hopefully you got something out of the video, but nothing beats an on-water demo. Again, I'm Jonathan at Epic Board Sports in Cocoa Beach. We have a huge selection of demo gear, everything from the latest foils, boards, wings, SUPs, everything you need to confidently make a buying decision. So if you don't already have a local shop, please look us up and come out and try some of this stuff out for yourself and make your mind up on your own. Again, thanks for watching the video, and if you don't mind, click like and subscribe.